Welcome back to Recovering from Everything, a podcast for everyone who has ever had anything happen to them ever. We are about to wrap up season 4, which is so crazy because when I think about how this podcast started, or rather, where I was in my life, mentally, in my career, in my self esteem, um, versus where I am now for quick yet excruciatingly long years later. It kind of blows my mind because I don't necessarily recognize that woman, but I do still see a lot of her behaviors showing up in me. And so some of the podcast today will be dedicated to uh, basically like I wouldn't call any of my patterns destructive anymore necessarily, but there's definitely programming that it I suppose takes me about a year to be like, "Oh, this is a pattern and this is significant." You know what? Let me turn on my ring light. Hold on. I look like not very dark or it's not very bright today. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Ah, just breathe life right into me. I have been crying, which there's just like a lot going on in my body chemically. I am officially very much perimenopausal. So I have been, depending on where I am with like my menstrual cycle, I have been waking up in the middle of the night, like just with like a rush of cortisol. So like panicking, like the stress hormone. So like just panicking for like hours. So I've been testing different supplements and I've been putting on either like soothing affirmations or straight up TikTok. Honestly, at this point, TikTok is more helpful because I'll find creators that tell like really long stories and just like pass out to those stories and it just goes like on loop. I find the affirmations in the middle of the night are actually more of like a brain exercise for me than maybe I necessarily need, but you would think affirmations are soothing. So let's listen to affirmations. TikToks for me. Anyways, we're going to reflect on the last year because a lot has happened. Um, some yay and some uh, shit that hurt. We're going to look at some of my romantic choices, which I mean, if you've listened to this year of the podcast, you'll be like, damn girl. Um, and it's funny because if I think back to where I was in January romantically, and then where I was again in like, February, March, I have grown so much since then, but I also am still uh, in a lot of pain. Not because of those people, but because I can't quite find like the right person for me. And to be honest, I met someone a couple weeks ago, not met, I guess I connected romantically with someone that I sort of knew a couple weeks ago. And he was the closest thing to what I see myself with in the future, or rather for long term. Sadly, we are in very different places in life, which I completely understand. And obviously, no hard feelings, but damn, that's unfortunate. And I knew it, going into it, but I just hoped, I guess. Anyways, I like how I feel around this person. And a lot of the things that, um a lot. Oh god. One of my eyelashes fell off. That's also a thing that I started doing. Which one is it? I feel like it's probably on this side. I started wearing, fake eyelashes that I just, like, glue on, every day. But they fall off when you start crying. The cool, wonderful thing about making this connection, which was such a gift, I know for him, but for me as well, is he really, really needed someone, and I'm so glad that I could be that person for him. But what he did for me was he showed me that a lot of my qualities that other people find to be too much or intimidating or, you know, arrogant, that they aren't necessarily that. That he really liked them, and he said my passion for things was life-giving, and, like, nobody has ever said that to me, and so I'm just so grateful to know that someone out there like that exists that can really appreciate it and can look at all my chaotic thoughts and my you know sometimes, like, I'm grandiose and I'm just like, I'm too good for this, or I'm too smart for this, or whatever, and because that's the truth, and I don't think I or anyone should have to, like, reduce themselves to make someone else comfortable. And I just really valued being 100% myself around this person and him just being like, "This is amazing." And, like, he was engaged and asked me questions, and, like, we talked about, like, nerdy, nerdy stuff, and, like, I love that. So, I suppose if any of you out there know a very nerdy, you know, borderline on the spectrum, savant person, that's just, like, super into, like, these very obscure things, because I love that, because 'cause I'm the same, um, and who is tall and tattooed and just has, like, a beautiful, kind, gentle soul, um, let me know, um, because the impact that these sort of, like, smaller, insecure men have had on me is a real double-edged sword, and we're gonna get into that in this episode, because on one hand, it's it's been, like, a number of cuts, and not just in 2026, a lot of back to childhood, just having my first memory of that, um, let me write that down. Okay, I'll have to go into that because that really full circle, cool. Hmm. A lot of stuff has cut like a knife, and it's made me feel like I am too much, and so, maybe a part of me is overcompensating by being like, "You think I'm too much, like how much I can be," right? Um, but on the other hand, It's men like that push me in a completely different direction where I level up on my self-care, go extra hard in my business. Guys, like I 3x'd my business from last year. Like we did 3 times the number of clients, 3 times the number of revenue. I have a full-time, I mean, shit, she was my assistant. She's basically like my director of ops right now. And I've got 2 more employees that I'm onboarding in the new year who used to be my clients. Like things are good. Things are good when you surround yourself with very motivated, wonderful women. And things are good when you are able to do that because that is the like community and environment that you have created. That said, I am, I think, ready for real love, and I know what that should feel like, based on this little romantic entanglement that I had with this really wonderful person. I'm so sad. um, I'm so sad, and I'm so understanding of like where he is in his life, and it's truly fine. It does give me some, you know, leftover questions of, am I not enough? Am I not worth it? Whatever. But um, that I have to set that aside because that's not real. I just am very like sensitive to where he's at in his life, and I am so grateful that he was put in my life, and that's kind of like the way that I sort of ended the year is, spending time with this person and talking and talking and talking and just like loving each other's like brains. And naturally, we're objectively good looking, so that's like cool when you can hang out with someone who's hot. Um, yeah, I'm so grateful because I'm like, maybe it's not always me. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes I'm a dick. Sometimes I am too blunt. Um, but the right people don't think I'm a dick, and the right people, like, love that. Love how blunt I am and how direct I am, because it's like, you really don't have to question where you stand with me. Like, I'm either like, "I love you so much. Why would you do that? What's the reasoning behind why you would do" like, and some people can't handle it. And I think I've had an onslaught of people who can't handle it. And I think that I am so big and so sort of like exuberant that they don't realize that I can also be very hurt by things. Here's a whole bunch of shit I learned this year. Let's go. Okay. The memory I had was when we first moved to Canada, obviously my whole family basically had to learn English, right? Like my parents had, I remember my mom studying English a little bit back in Romania. Um, and naturally, my dad had to learn English when he was sort of plopped into Canada. Hmm. My sister was really little. Of course, she had to learn a new language, but she was only like 3. So even like her Hungarian was, super basic. So it was like, I mean, at that age, it's very easy to just like sub in a new language. But for me, I had to actually take like an English as a second language class, an ESL class. So um, I was in school because I was, I think, Yeah, almost 5 when we moved to Canada. So, I mean, think of how many words a 5-year-old knows, right? Like that's you're having conversations with them. So I could do that in Hungarian, obviously not in English. So, in preschool and grade 1, actually, I don't think I was doing it in preschool. I have memories of like not understanding kids. So I remember in grade 1 would have been, I was taking English as a second language classes in school. And uh, one day, one evening, I remember saying to my dad, I speak English so well. I said it in Hungarian. And he picked up a lighter and said, "Oh, yeah? How do you say this in English?" I didn't I didn't know how to say that in Hungarian. What 5-year-old knows like what a lighter is called, you know? Or 6-year-old. Um, and that was the memory I just had of like the first time a man was like, "Yeah, let's take you down a couple pegs." And I'm 42. And maybe part of me has been looking for the comfort of an insecure man just to take me down. Couple pegs, because isn't that what, the important men in your life are supposed to do? Put you in your place. Anyways, I've had a number of small men over the years, and my joke on Instagram when I was doing the marketing for this was the working title for this is "Tell me you have a small dick," or no, "How I know for sure you have a small dick," and other lessons I've learned in 2026. So I don't want to make this too long because I mean I've already cried, we've laughed, but I've got a call in half an hour that I want to be ready for. Let me make sure it isn't half an hour and it's not in 1 minute because oh my god, no, it's at 12:30. Okay, I've had like a number of appointment misses this month, which is like really speaking to my mental health. Okay, what I am not taking into 2026 anymore is and what I have learned and been sort of good at differentiating in 2026, the learning has been a little harmful, but I'm coming out the other side and I understand that none of this is me. And again, thank goodness for this end of year guy, um, for literally just like loving my brain and like telling me that like, my passion for things is life giving because that's the shit that like small men hate. And they hate me. And instead of looking in the mirror and realizing how fucking insecure I make them feel, they throw darts at me. And what I am not taking into 2026 is people that are beneath me shitting on me. Because people are beneath me. And I've worked really, really, really fucking hard to surround myself with people who are my equals or better than me. Like, I love being around people who I consider to be better than me. I look at my clients and I'm like, in just such awe of their consistency, the work that they do, their um, ability to be vulnerable so quickly with such a large group of people. And I understand that I have created a very, very, very intimate and like loving community. And honestly, part of it is probably for like my own healing, you know? Like, I remember when I first was getting sober and like the women I met. And I just was like, they're so much better than me. They're so much calmer than me and wiser. And, I wanted that. And I know how, oh God, critical that was for me to be around women like that. And so when I was creating the space, I was like, it has to feel like that. Like everyone gets to be a leader at some point because our life experiences are so important and so healing to other people. And these are life experiences that have like shamed us. They've like grounded us, paralyzed us, and to share them in a space when other women are like, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly how I feel." Or like, "Oh my god, that's exactly what I needed to hear." Is like so being around women like my clients, the very uh, small and curated group of like best friends that I have. And then honestly, my social media, either through Instagram or the podcast, like when you guys DM me your like updates or to tell me you like liked something or how helpful or inspirational or whatever, it's a lot. That's my real life. And so anything outside of that is so grating and it's so like I have like such little tolerance for it because I know what my real life is, and that is love and support and like what I'm not taking into 2026 is making exceptions for people who won't hold themselves accountable for shit. Basically, frankly. I was talking about that with Sherry this morning, where it's like this I think is our lesson is like how how codependent are we still, right? Like when we look at our clients and 98% of them are like fucking amazing, right? Some of them join us and we're like, we don't know why. Sherry's chasing them. We're chasing them to like settle their bills. We're chasing them to come to the coaching calls. We're chasing them to I'm not doing any of this. Sherry is literally doing all of this. Where she's chasing them to start the assignments, to start working through the program, to like do the work. And we're like, we work so hard, right, Sherry, with our clients and me in other aspects of my life to accommodate people who don't give two shits about their behavior. And so the lesson is we're not doing that in 2026. And part of it, a large part of it, which has been, my plight for the last couple of months is the front end messaging. So like the ads that you see, right? Maybe the reason you're even listening to this podcast is because you saw one of my ads, you started following me on Facebook or Instagram, and then you saw me promote it, or I showed up in your email because you watched my masterclass and I'm like, oh hey, I also have a podcast, listen to my podcast, right? So, however you ended up here, the front end messaging of like, this is who I work with, this is who I want, it still needs some fine tuning. And I don't know if it'll ever be perfect, but I look at 98, 99% of our clients that are like in the work and they're doing like, the ugly but beautiful shit, and they're emerging, these phoenixes or like coming out of their, messy cocoons, and they're like these beautiful butterflies. And I'm like, yeah, that's your second half of life. Like it's supposed to be that free and big and beautiful, and you feel just like breathe in every ounce of life. And then there's 1 or 2%, I suppose, of people that won't do it, that just won't do it. And it's those people that, whether in my women's program or whether in my personal life, like it's those people that I need to trust my gut. I need to trust myself. I can no longer make it my responsibility to make these relationships work, especially now that I've got Sherry and I'm hiring 2 other coaches, because it's not my responsibility anymore. It's now my responsibility to make sure that they, like my staff, are not chasing people. Because what kind of an example is that, right? Like, what kind of leader would I be if I'm like, make it work with this person that refuses to meet us halfway? Figure it out, make it work. But don't do that in your personal life. But in our professional life, do it. What? What? No. All right. So all of this to say that my boundaries, my self-care is like next level this year, more so than it has been. Last year was really good for self-care. This year, I feel like it's been more of an emotional, like last year was physical. I started exercising a lot. Like I started caring about my physical body more, which I had like really just let go. Um, and I still do. I still make it a point to do physical activity at least once a day. I'm also off nicotine, which is like so weird, which means like I'm still vaping. Like I still do the hand to mouth thing, which has been a part of my life since I was 14. So I'm just being pretty patient with myself there. But I'm off nicotine. I've been off nicotine for like 7 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. It's crazy. I haven't been off nicotine since I was 14, 13. When did I start smoking? Anyways, I started smoking regularly when I was 14, which is crazy because I was a child. Anywho, I've leveled up my self-care. And so maybe not necessarily a promotion, but a lateral move. So I have, last year was like very much my physical health. This year is like my emotional health. And I have been forced to confront a number of sort of final bosses of boundaries. Like this morning, I'm going to read you this text because it is like so hysterical. But this morning, I got my ass handed to me by this dude I went on a date with. And uh, this is the self care that I did. Okay. Guys, you're going to be so proud of me. If you have been listening to my podcast since like day one, you know that I love to feed into my anger and I love revenge. Like I love revenge. And I have so many stories where I'm like, I should have gotten revenge, but I didn't. And so, yeah, but I didn't. And then I come on a podcast and I like just shit all over these people. But don't mess with me. Don't don't shit on me because I have a podcast. Like I could literally ruin your life, but I will not. But I want you to hear this text. And then I just want you to know, I will tell you what I did instead. Okay, so I went on a date with this man a couple weeks ago, and it was obviously such a mismatch. Um, it's someone that I had talked to many years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Um, and he was like really pushing to like go for coffee, and I was like just kind of getting out of this sort of like violent relationship. You guys are the guy that like is dead now. Anyways, if you don't go back, I think the podcast title is like someone I hate died, question mark. And then I think it's like probably the fourth episode or something where I kind of go into detail. about that relationship. So I was in that and I was like just kind of coming out of it. And I was talking to this guy. His name's Corey, Corey. Okay. I don't know why it needs an E, but cool. Um, he owns a gym, sort of locally. And we I blocked him 7 years ago because I was like, "I'm not in a mental space to, like, move forward with anything," and he was like, "It's just coffee," and I was like, "Block," and, then he became, like, the butt of our jokes for, like, a while, but ultimately, I felt like I owed him an apology because he was, maybe a little bit pushy, but not necessarily, like, ill-intentioned, and I had, like, antagonized the shit out of him for many years. So I reached out to him and I was like, "I'm so sorry." And he was like, "All good. I think we both learned some lessons." And then he asked me out. And I was like, "Okay." Knowing we're a mismatch. I knew it. And it was very obvious on our date. And it was really obvious after. I thought, on paper, we're both entrepreneurs, like maybe we are a very different kind of entrepreneur. He said that he uses a paper calendar. So, I mean, enough said, okay? But listen, I went on this date knowing it's not a good idea. I just like felt like, maybe we'd both changed. Maybe he wasn't the way I remember him being, and I'm sure he had the same hopes for me. And no, we were both very much still the people that we are. I was big and bold, and he wanted to talk about business and was asking me questions about my business, and I can talk about that for hours. And so I was like, at one point I remember being like, "Are you sorry you asked?" And he's like, "No, I'm just like listening to you and like reflecting on my own business." Uh, and he wanted to see like my ads that I was running, like so I showed him that like he was interested, and we talked about business a lot. The whole date, basically. And then we went for a drive after dinner, and, we kind of talked about what had happened with us. Um, his version of events was really, really weird to me. And I told him kind of where I was at contextually behind the scenes. And then he asked me out for a second date and gave me like the weirdest kiss ever. Like, I don't know how a kiss like that existed. And I was just like, ugh. Um, we laughed about it with my girlfriends a lot, and I also, spent a week calling him a simpleton. So that's what I mean, don't fuck with me. Like, I wasn't gonna tell anybody that except my 2 close girlfriends, but, like, here I am doing a podcast about it because the text message he sent me this morning was fucking vicious, vicious. I reached out to him yesterday, um, just to be like, "Hey, hope you had a great Christmas. Why haven't you texted me? It's like been 2 weeks. Like, does he want to go out again?" Knowing that I do not want to go out with this man, but I think I was just like sad and like desperate. So I reached out to him because I don't know, because I'm a woman who's like trying to go on dates and be more open minded, I suppose. Anyways, he was like, "Why didn't you reach out to me?" Winky face. Shut up. Anyways, I was like, "Honestly, I can't do anything serious." And I was like, "We had a meal. Like, I don't think that's anything serious." But like you said, you wanted to go out again, and I was like, I would be open to, I think I said, like, I would be open to sampling a second date. Maybe not freaking dinner this time, but um, I said I would be open to sampling a second date, but like, I ultimately at this point was like so turned off because he was so like evasive with answering. Not even evasive. The reasons he was giving for not texting me were so like juvenile. It's like, this is not hot. So I was like, yeah, I'd be open to sampling a second date, but I don't think the vibes are there for either of us. And he was like, yeah, I'd be open to a second date too, but if you're not feeling it, all good. Have a good night. I just like never wrote back because who cares? Oh, too. Oh, I also said, no worries. Like he was like, Christmas is a really hard time for me, and I like tend to isolate. And I was like, yeah, no worries. Do you? Just so you know, I prefer open and direct communication, honest and direct communication. I wake up to a text message sent at 7:02 a.m. God knows how long he was composing this for, because my goodness. Good morning, Kinga. Okay, you ready? I'm sorry I wasn't more honest and direct with you. Here it is. So you know, like whatever's about to come is going to be violent. Corey woke up this morning and chose violence. I can't forget what happened in round one with us. That was definitely a concern. What? Okay. I think we have a lot in common. We don't. We have nothing in common, but are very different at the same time. You have a very strong personality, and I have a very soft personality. Yes. You mentioned guys being intimidated by you. I understand why now. Of course, it has nothing to do with him, right? It's me. It's me being too something, too many things. You offended me several times on our date. Brackets, I don't think you meant to. Part of that is my issue with sensitivity. Okay. You are clearly big time extroverted and I am big time introverted. I don't think he knows the meaning of those words. Clearly, you are doing well, and I'm happy for you. However, I was getting a huge ego vibe, which pushed me away. You insinuated several times that I was with you for coaching. That pushed me away even further. I made one joke because he wouldn't stop. This man literally was like, okay, if you were a gym owner in a small town, what would you do? And I was like, I'm not a gym owner in a small town, so I don't know what you should do. And I was like, haha, did you ask me out just to get business coaching? That man was like a dog with a bone. He would not stop. He twice later that night verbally was like, "Oh my gosh, I really hope you don't think that." And then the next day texted me and was like, "I really hope you don't think that I'm just with you for business coaching." It was a joke, you dumb idiot. Um Hopefully this clears up any confusion for you. I was not confused. He seemed a little confused. I wish you all the best and would love to stay in touch as friends. None of my friends, A, are this fucking narrow-minded and dumb and mean. I'm probably the mean one of the group. That's the thing. I am a mean girl. I will I will fuck you up, okay? Don't mess with me. Don't mess with anyone I love, because I am a mean girl. Now I've reeled it in over the years because I don't necessarily like showing that part of my personality. But like I I'm the mean girl. Corey is way too dumb for me to ever talk to ever again. And he is also kind of mean, but he also represents a type of man that is so insecure about their own manhood that instead of working on that, they feel they need to take down strong women. And some of my clients are married to people like this, and these men come in and out of my life, and i'm so I'm so glad about how I handled this, because yes, I'm doing a podcast about it and I'm naming names, but I didn't tell you his last name. So um wrote a number of responses right away when I woke up, and I was like, you know what, I am done defending myself to people like this. I'm done even making any space in my life or my day for people like this. And I was like, I don't want to start the day like this. So I put on my morning affirmations, something I like needed. I listened to it twice because this stung a little bit. Um, and I blocked him again. And the lesson also is to trust my gut because I knew that Corey the simpleton would never be man enough for me ever. There was like zero evidence of it. He was always got big muscles. Okay. Who cares? He also like, and my girlfriends were asking this. They were like, he's also like in recovery, which is like so, I don't know. His recovery is like really fickle. And he said to me that he was dating someone last year and she was a drinker. And so he started drinking again. And like he said, like things got really bad or something. I was like, bro, I don't even want to know what that means. But like my girlfriends were like, do you want to date someone in recovery? I don't. The only, my like literally number one rule that I've learned the hard way is like the only person's recovery that I can trust is my own. Um, and if it's that easy for him to just like throw, like he believes in abstinence. He's clean and sober. So if he can just like throw his shit out the window that easily, I've already been around that. I've experienced that. That guy's dead now. And I have a really great relationship with my local police department. So like been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Like, no fucking thank you. My future man, is going to be a very take it or leave it with alcohol. And, you know, I'm open to a couple times a year, some drunken shenanigans and witnessing that and being the designated driver and, you know, fighting off his like horny little paws while I'm driving us home. Love that for me. But I want my person to have zero relationship. Like it just is, you know, take it or leave it. Like the same relationship that one might have with like bread or cheese, or I love both those things. Something normal. Okay. You know what I mean? No, I do not want to be with someone in recovery. That is a personal choice. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Um, Another great thing to come out of having these small men in my life, right? Just like the men over the years. I mean, apparently since my dad when I was 6, um, try to take me down a few pegs is I actually like do the opposite. So like I know I come off as very, very arrogant, but like I've worked so hard to come off as so fucking arrogant. And there's only a small handful of people who I will allow to influence me and shape me. And it is people that I consider to be far, far better than me in like many aspects of life. Um, this has allowed me to like have a fairly decent sense of self, um, fairly steady self-esteem. I've also 3x'd my motherfucking business because I'm like uh, cutting these people off and like once you cut off the dead weight, like you know, my ex was like that too. Like he was like, yes, yes, like do this, grow, make all this money. Like you're so famous. And then like behind the scenes, he would like be so mean to me and like yell at me, like so weird. And I'm like, you know, one of the major things in my life is like, and something I push onto my clients is like our lives cannot be illusions anymore. And so like there's this level of accountability that I love where I'm like, I have to make sure that like behind the scenes, like I'm not a phony at all. Behind the scenes, my life has to be beautiful. The people in my life have to be like top quality people. Um, Not the fucking Corys and Devons of the world that are just like, you know, what is that misogyny? Like I was like, are you like, how's your relationship with your mom? And he was like, we don't talk. And I was like, all right. Like I know what I need to know. Anyways, I have a global listening. So, um, my Spotify rap said that we are broadcasting in 11 countries, or we have listeners in 11 countries. So I don't think anybody would know who I'm talking about, but uh, it's fine. I talk to my girlfriends about this stuff. I got to wrap it up. I have a call in 3 minutes with a wonderful, lovely, beautiful new soul. Um, 2026, thank you so much for sending me men that for sure have incredibly small penises, and letting me know that I probably have the biggest dick in the room. And let's see if we can 10x our business this year, not because we're surrounded by simpletons, but because we are surrounded by strong, strong women. And hopefully, I will fall in love with a man who falls in love with the chaotic, beautiful brain that I bring to the table. And I have a really nice butt also. Mocktail cheers to 2026, to the joys and lessons and gratitude, gratitude, gratitude that I have for 2025. It felt like a real transitional period, which is cool. But it showed me what's possible and what is possible that I don't want. Um, and I will see you all in 2026, and hopefully it's our best year yet. As always, if you are considering working with me, I will leave the masterclass link in the chat. You have to start there. You have to. If you can't make it through my 45-minute masterclass, you're not going to make it through my 12-week program. But I hope to meet you, my sweet, sweet listeners, at some point, either professionally or in my DMs. Um, Thank you for listening to another episode of Recovering from Everything, a podcast for everyone who has ever had anything happen to them ever, including having the biggest dick in the room. Love you.